Welcome to the Great Mohaw's YouTube channel, where Mohow explores everything science and technology.
Hey TikTokers, welcome back to TikTok Weekly with Computer Science Major. I am the Great Mahau, your host for the podcast. I know I have been AWOL for some time now, and that's because I'm still busy designing an application, but we'll talk about that on the other episodes. Today, I just wanted to talk about, something that I came across during the week. So, on the 18th of May, 2026, GitHub got hacked. And I just want us to talk about what that means for every developer, right? And if maybe another developer, if you don't know anything about GitHub, then this episode is exactly what you need, because I will be basically, telling you guys what GitHub is all about, what GitHub is for, in simple terms, okay? Right. Now, what does it mean to hack, right? Hacking in the society, most people think it's all about, yes, it has to do with computers and all that, but the definition of hacking, the simplest definition of hacking, is when somebody has access to your private space, digitally, your digital private space without your knowledge, basically, That's in simple terms, but you can give your definition in the comments. But my definition is that whenever somebody has access to your digital space or your digital world without your knowledge, then you've been hacked. Hence, you'll find on social media people saying their accounts, social media pages have been hacked. It simply means that somebody got access to their accounts, well, without their knowledge. And then, of course, at a later stage, let's say maybe it's Instagram or Facebook, they'll let them know, okay, no, something is wrong. Then that's when they will know, okay, they have been hacked. So that's hacking, right? The definition of it, capiche? Fine. So GitHub. GitHub is a platform, right, where developers store their code. It's a platform, basically. That's where we store our codes for our personal projects, or either, projects that we are busy with for the companies that some developers work for. But it's basically utilized to store code and also to collaborate with other developers. Okay, it's easier to do so. It's more like, Google Drive, but I will give another analogy. It's more like Google Drive, right? Google Drive, you can create folders and put your files inside those folders. GitHub works the same. It's a platform. You create repositories. Repositories are folders in terms of, Google Drive. And then you put your files in there, but your files are in code. But some can be text, but mostly it's code, right? Okay, so let's talk about who did this hack, right? So while I was doing my research, I found out that the group that did this hack is known as TeamPCP, right? So that's the team that basically hacked GitHub. And how they did it is that they poisoned a Visual Studio Code extension known as NX Console via a supply chain attack. So in simple terms, they basically created a Visual Studio extension. If you're a developer, you know Visual Studio. Visual Studio is an IDE, integrated development environment for developers. That's where we write our code, the source code, right? So it has extensions. They poisoned a Visual Studio Code extension. So already Visual Studio has extensions. They just poisoned the extension. The extension is called NX Console. So by poisoning that extension, whoever utilizes that extension and then puts their code on GitHub, you can tell. I mean, you already know, right? It's more like me putting malware onto your laptop, or maybe to a USB. You put that particular USB onto your laptop, then you know what will happen. So yeah. Okay, so that's how they did it. They poisoned a Visual Studio Code extension known as NX Console via supply chain attack. The damage is that 3,800 internal GitHub repositories. 3,800 GitHub repositories, right? Those were the ones that were exfiltrated in this case. So the data stolen, it wasn't, anything. Well, to GitHub, it's important stuff, but it's like SSH keys, GitHub tokens, AWS credentials, and one password vaults. Now that is crucial. One password vaults. But okay, listen to what I have to say, right? That's the data that was stolen. And then the window of exposure, they got the opportunity to basically get all that information in just 18 minutes. That's a lot. 18 minutes. Come on. GitHub, come on. This cannot be happening. Those people were supposed to be detected within 10 minutes. They got the window of exposure. It was 18 minutes. Wow. Okay. So I know some developers who are listening to this, they're like, oh, okay, so what about us? What about our repositories? What about our passwords? What about our accounts? Some people, they might even consider, leaving GitHub, but no, relax. Relax. There's no need for that, okay? It has been stated that no public user data has been compromised. No confirmed public data has been compromised. Only GitHub's internal repos. Okay, so you can relax. Yeah, basically that's what I got, and I would like to draw more into this. The thing is, I don't want to make the videos long anymore, but I think I can make it like 10 minutes, right? Let us remind ourselves why this is such a big deal. GitHub is not just a website, it is the backbone. Well, not the backbone. Why am I talking about black bones? It is the backbone of modern software development. Over 100 million developers worldwide store their code, collaborate on projects, and deploy software through GitHub. So it's not just a website or a platform, right? From the world's biggest tech companies to solo students like myself, writing their first app. I'm busy with my first app right now. Stay tuned to the next episodes, right? GitHub is the default home for code, just like iCloud and Google Drive are for Android users and iOS users, right? Yeah. So by early 2026, GitHub was basically processing 90 million pull requests per month and 1.4 billion commits. So a commit is basically when you've uploaded your file, let's say for instance an HTML file, and you would like to do some edits over there. You basically go to GitHub, edit your HTML, then you have to commit. So commit, it's more like you're basically saving those changes, right? So these commits that were basically fueled in part by the explosion of AI-assisted coding tools like GitHub Copilot, Claude. Oh man, yeah, not Claude. Claude is amazing. Claude Code and Chasm. I love Claude. I moved from ChatGPT to Perplexity.ai, from Perplexity.ai to Claude AI now. Yeah, Claude is amazing. The platform was so central that it had to expand its capacity 30 times in under 6 months. That kind of scale also makes it a prime target. Think of it this way, right? Imagine if the post office, the one that handles every letter and the package for the entire country, got broken into. Even if the thieves only stole mail from the back office, the event would shake everyone's trust. That is GitHub here. But relax, developers. Relax, okay? Only 3,800 repositories were compromised, and none of them were customers' data, right? It was just GitHub's external repos. So relax for now. The attack, step by step. You find a trusted entry point, Visual Studio Code, in this, context, because they did utilize the Visual Studio Code extension. They just poisoned it, right? So TeamPCP had already compromised the 10-stack open source project's build pipeline. Through that foothold, right? They gained access to an NX developer's machine. NX being a popular toolkit used by tens of thousands of developers. Wow. Step 2. Poison a Visual Studio Code extension. They pushed malicious, Trojan in this case, update to the NX console extension on the Visual Studio Marketplace. NX console is a legitimate, popular tool used by Angular and NX developers. Now it had hidden malware inside it. Man! Whew. Wow. So now we are no longer using like USBs. We are no longer using external, inputs. We are now using extensions. We are poisoning extensions with malware. Man, I'm not condoning this, but this is genius. Wow, okay. Step 3. They let auto update do the work. So Visual Studio Code updates extensions automatically by default, right? Now review, okay, apologies for that. Basically, by updating extensions automatically, that means there is no review gate, right? No approval process. And the moment the bad update was published, it installs silently on every machine running that extension. Oh man. Wow. Okay. Step 4. Harvest credentials. The malicious version quietly ran a shell command in the background. It harvested credentials from 1Password vaults, GitHub tokens, SSH keys, AWS credentials, and even Anthropic Cloud Code configurations. It then double encrypted all of this and pushed it to a public GitHub repository. Man, so all of that private information is now in the public. Because remember, with GitHub, you can create a repository, and your repository can either be private or public, but they put all of this into a public repository. It makes it easier for them to basically access that repository because now it's public. It's visible to the public. It's no longer private. Oh man. Remember the definition that I gave you in the beginning of what hacking is? This is hacking then. Okay. Now, step 5. Clone GitHub's internal repos. Using the stolen SSH keys, TeamPCP cloned approximately 3,800 internal GitHub repositories, GitHub's own source code and internal projects. Yeah, and this only took 18 minutes. That was just enough time. GitHub should have been able to basically spot this within 10 minutes, within 5 minutes basically. Cybersecurity is definitely needed. Hence why it's the growing field right now. Cybersecurity. And this is making me think a lot because I'm currently developing an app and a website. So cybersecurity for those, it definitely has to be implemented and augmented at the same time. So what is a supply chain attack, right? For everyone. The term supply chain attack sounds corporate, but the concept is simple once you think about it from an everyday perspective, right? Here's an analogy. You trust your local supermarket, but what if someone poisoned the bread at the factory before it even reached the store? You would never suspect the supermarket itself, you would blame the factory. A supply chain attack works the same way. Hackers target a trusted tool or library that developers use. They inject malicious code there and then let it spread automatically when developers update or install it. Cybersecurity, come to our rescue because wow. No, 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 no. So, in this GitHub breach, the bread factory was the NX console Visual Studio Code extension. Developers trusted it completely because, I mean, why not, right? It had been legitimate for years. When TeamPCP poisoned it, every developer who had auto updates established became a victim without doing anything wrong themselves. I hope on my Visual Studio Code I did not install the NX console Visual Studio Code extension. I don't think I've utilized that extension before, but I hope, because wow, if it did, my Visual Studio Code is connected to my GitHub account, and that's a problem, but okay. So why is this so dangerous? The reason it's dangerous is because basically it bypasses all traditional security, firewalls, antivirus, because the attack comes from a trusted source, right? Secondly, the victim does nothing wrong. They simply update their tools as recommended. So be careful whenever you're updating your softwares. But if you're not a developer or maybe a cybersecurity analyst, you won't even be able to detect that. So just relax, you know. Companies, they know what they're doing, so hence they were able to spot this hack, right? Thirdly, a single compromised tool can infect thousands or millions of machines simultaneously. And the last point is that TeamPCP used this same technique to hit Trivim, Checkmax, Bitwarden, CLI, and 10stack, all in 2026. Yeah. Okay. I would actually like to draw more into this, but I don't want to be making this video long. I don't want to make it long, but I hope you really understand what this hack means and what it meant, right? Because this occurred on the 18th of May for 18 minutes. Wow. 18th of May for 18 minutes. Okay, TikTokers, I think we can end it there. The video will probably be 23 minutes, somewhere there, but okay. For now, you won't be seeing my face because, yeah, my OBS, I'm still busy with the background thing. I basically uninstalled my OBS and now I've installed it, so that background thing, I still have to work on it. But until the next episode, stay tuned. Stay up to date with what's happening in the tech world. Keep coding and work on those personal projects, okay? Yes. Peace.
Brought to you by Royal Mercy Institute.